I felt just possessed by the story of Anne Lee.
It's mythical at times, and like a fever dream at times.
It's a timeless tale of shattering the status quo.
Legend has it, this is what happened to Anne Lee.
On the Red Carpet presents The Testament of Anne Lee.
For those new here who are unaccustomed to a woman preacher, come nearer to me.
I play Anne Lee, the woman who started the Shaker movement in the late 1700s.
She didn't have any education, but she was an extremely charismatic person.
And she was able to bring together this crazy amount of people for a common good, all genders and races working together. She had absolutely no limit to her capacity for compassion, empathy, and love. She was just trying to save people.
Anne Lee was such an advanced thinker, you know, she was thinking way ahead of her time.
This was a radical project of completely rethinking what family and what society could be.
God wants us to take the millennial church to America, and that he will aid us in this enormous undertaking.
She emigrated to America with a small group of followers.
She created what became the biggest utopian society in American history.
With over 6,000 followers at one point.
Rolling, set, and action!
They expressed their devout faith through a lot of song and dance, which was untraditional at the time.
She was creating this space that didn't really exist for anybody. She was able to connect to a higher power.
Do not be frightened, girl.
That was able to lift up an entire community through devotion and movement.
I felt so moved by Anne Lee's journey. Her thoughts around leadership really spoke to me, and I felt connected to her ideas around leadership. And I immediately felt like I have to tell this story. I can't believe no one has told this story.
My dear children, the time is near at hand. I know it.
I have always loved what Mona Fastvel and Brady Corbet are up to. You're talking about visionary filmmakers who are doing it absolutely their way.
My vision starts in the writing process. Brady and I, we always think about the script as a blueprint.
Whenever we are collaborating, we write with each other and we write for each other.
I think that with The Brutalist, we've really dived into something quite dark. But with Anne Lee, there's something exhilarating and hopeful about her story.
Be not discouraged. God has not sent us to this land in vain.
We did as much research as we could. We really looked at many different witnesses, friends, acquaintances of hers, and their statements about Anne Lee's life.
And we thought that the most radical thing we could do was take their testament quite seriously. The only stuff that was really left for us to interpret was, you know, what was going on in her life that might have driven her to do what she did. The fact that she'd lost 4 children.
I have to take her now.
No! And her vow of celibacy.
It is sexual sin that has caused us to catastrophe, I know it.
We were like, well, that's clearly the impetus for what happened next.
During my incarceration, a sense of release swept over me, and my whole being was suffused with inner harmony and peace. And I feel that all my sins are now forgiven.
It's a scary role to dive into.
It's not the kind of character that you could do halfway. It's so incredibly demanding.
There's all the movement and the singing.
I hunger and thirst. I hunger and thirst.
And then, of course, there's the tricky accent.
Impoverished souls, adventitious sinners. These men know not what they give tongue to.
I knew that I needed someone who was just willing to completely give themselves to this performance.
We've known Amanda for years. We just knew that she was the right person to carry it off.
Mona talked really passionately about it, but this seemed like something completely out of the box for me. I feel very contemporary, so it's very hard for me to picture myself in a place, in an era like this, and I haven't done a lot of it. So there was a lot of overcoming my own insecurities too.
I just felt so excited to challenge her with this opportunity because I really knew that she would rise to it.
There's so much imperfection with who Ann Lee was. I realized I had space to just expand.
It really felt like Amanda was channeling some parts of Ann Lee. It was remarkable to watch.
Feed me, I'm hungry, enrich me, I'm poor. I cry unto God, I will never cease till my soul's filled with love, love is sweet.
The whole experience was heart-opening because it was hard.
I hunger and thirst, I hunger and thirst after true righteousness. I hunger and thirst, I hunger and thirst. I hunger and thirst.
Ann Lee was the daughter of a blacksmith. She was from a poor background, working in the cotton mills as a child in Manchester.
Place for everything and everything in its place, William.
The process of choosing and creating the sets was, we really wanted to silo these different worlds into their own tonal, chromatic, and textural spaces. We knew that Manchester wanted to be murky and muddy. You have lots of maximalism because you have cramped, crowded conditions. You have lots of different color tones that your eye is drawn towards. And then once you're in New York, we want the whole film to open up wide, and we want to feel that kind of more airy, almost desaturated feel. And it became paler blues, little bits of yellow, but the chroma just kind of sinks out of the movie.
We talked a lot about contrast and light and finding a lot of darkness. I wanted to draw inspiration from a lot of religious paintings.
Mona wanted every image not to feel like a traditional, something you've seen before, but it's going to be painterly.
I wanted to transport you into these paintings, which is why we ended up using a traditional matte painter.
The matte paintings were certainly the backbone to the handmade quality of this film.
People of this community are well wishers to the country, and we will do all the good to the country that we were able to do.
Filmmaking is a collaborative art form. We were a really tight-knit group.
And Lee says, welcome.
And so then we go, ooh. Mona and I would go out and shoot what the frames were going to be in the locations, and then we would print those out like on Polaroids, and I'd put them up on the wall. Gosha would then start putting fabric underneath that. Sam would then come and say, I'm going to be painting this wall, this.
We wanted to keep some kind of continuity, so that's why it was reflected in the costumes as well.
Gosha is so artful and so specific and so runs on instincts and intuition.
So much of these costumes were produced, which is very, very difficult to do in our budget. It is absolute just magic to me how she managed to do that. She is such a perfectionist. If you would ever to see a sleeve, it is all just beautifully hand-stitched. She was dyeing things with natural dyes to really take you into the period. Truly, she just worked. I don't think she ever slept during this entire production.
Rolling and action. 1, 2, 1.
So once we do this one more, we'll get it. Then we'll jump, 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 jump.
That was a wild period in American history where there were just all of these new settlers experimenting with new ideas.
The Shaker movement is about equality and working together to keep this utopia alive.
What impresses me the most about the history of Shaker innovation is the egalitarian vision and foresight to engineer that which is needed to live off of the land.
They were completely self-reliant. They made everything that they could possibly need.
These incredible objects that the Shakers made. We had to honor that.
The beds, the chairs, the apple core. We were in the real Shaker villages, so a lot of the things we were fortunate to get to use.
Jan Bader had to come up with this idea of how am I going to build this community in this quarry that looks believable, and he dreamt up an incredible village, the Shattuck Village.
Just seeing how much care and attention we put into it and the way in which it interrelates to the story was creatively fulfilling for me. The Shattuck house, it was always going to burn. It was always going to burn in real time. We came up with the idea to have the house collapse in on itself. It's never an exact science when you're dealing with old barnwood and fire, but we had carpenters come out at night after we had filmed and sawzall through the horizontal supports in the hopes that it collapses in on itself.
Once this thing lights up, there's no turning it back. So we get one shot at it.
There's pressure, without a doubt, but we clearly made the right cuts and it collapsed the way we wanted it to.
The Shakers lived their life in song according to their testament.
They moved and they shook and they were ecstatic.
It was obvious right away. I was a little scared of it, even though that was also really is what drew me to it, that this could potentially be very musical and movement-based film. I immediately thought about, this sort of breathing work and movement work, using the rhythms of these breaths, these body slaps. That rhythm would take you through the film.
It's time to spread the word.
One of the first collaborators I brought in was Daniel Blomberg, our composer.
With The Brutalist, I was on set, but this was another level because I had to be involved in this process way before pre-production, working on the music with Mona.
When I started working with Daniel, we decided that we wanted to dive into the musical history of the Shakers and start listening to all of their songs and their hymns and just see sort of if we could find things that felt like it belonged in our film.
After reading the script, the first sounds that I heard in my head were vocal sounds, body sounds. From there, I started adding melodies.
These songs with this kind of melody that is completely unexpected for a hymn written in the 1770s. It's an art.
I was a songwriter before I started scoring films, and still am. So there's over 100 minutes of music in the film, and a lot of those are songs.
Daniel, he worked with actors on finding their voice and finding their way of singing.
The singing is really challenging for me. But Daniel is such a good collaborator and so encouraging. And so that was a really, really fun part of this whole process, was kind of figuring out how much are we leaning into the realism of what a human voice sounds like.
This is not Broadway. I didn't work with my voice coach at all on this because I knew it had to feel untrained. Beautiful, but untrained.
Celia Rowson-Hall choreographed the film. She was one of the first people I asked to read the script.
I'm always fascinated by how agony and ecstasy look the same. Like to exhaust oneself physically until you kind of go to this other place. Then just getting Daniel's music, thinking of Anne's story and what she's going through, helped generate the choreography and the movement. Breathing, singing, stomping, moving the limbs.
Celia works in quite a similar way to some of the musicians that I work with. There's this sort of improvised quality.
We've been in this slow thing, this is your espresso shot. It's like, I don't know, you gotta pick it up so that then we've got energy to build and to play with. We want to make sure that it feels very authentic to the actual religion, to reach this spiritual place through the physical body.
It takes a very specific kind of skill to create a dance that feels completely improv.
Keep going. Keep going.
And the boat dance, which was just, many days in Gothenburg with a bunch of different types of weather.
Because I never compromise, I said that, for the scene when she's dancing in the rain, it would be great to put Amanda in this really lovely, thick coat. But I thought it would be rain, but it was a storm.
I think I ended up weighing twice my weight because of my clothing being soaked.
But she did it, and at the end, she was laughing.
I will never forget it. Oh my God, it's so beautiful and so enchanting, almost haunting too, in a way.
There was a lot of moments where we were all so locked in as a group, and we were so in sync.
All right, you crazy kids, arms down. 3, 2, 1.
We had a full roadmap before we'd even walk onto set. I knew exactly where the camera was going to be, that I would think even more intentionally about how will this look.
You've got coverage for the dance that is respectful of the entire choreography, but then the camera, it always becomes an active participant as well.
There's a full command of camera and dance, and they are truly dancing together.
But you feel like that camera is going through this ecstasy.
We just worked hours and hours and hours for weeks. I couldn't breathe sometimes.
Amanda was working with the choreography almost a year in advance of shooting.
To be able to sing live, dance, perform was hard, but I love that challenge.
When you watch 200 people dancing and singing together, you become part of that sort of intoxicating feeling.
Background action. Action.
To see Mona make such an ambitious project on this scale is impressive and inspiring.
Cut. That was great. I like it. Check it.
Mona got people at the top of their game to buy into this whole idea and to love it as much as she did.
One of the things that Mona said to me when we were first meeting was, she was like, it's very much going to be an indie movie where there's a lot that's going to be uncomfortable, and the thing that's going to carry us through is that we all want to tell this story, and we're all impassioned to be a part of this world.
We are located 10 miles north. I will take you there myself.
Amanda jokingly calls her mother Mona, and it's true. She's beautiful all the way through. And because she treats everybody with such respect and so much love, it's contagious. Everybody there wants to do their best work.
You can't make a film that's about compassion and empathy and community without thinking about how this little film community is going to function. So I think that was something that just led into the work that we were doing.
At last, she had found a sanctuary for her people.
Every department was just locked in. And I think it's because everybody understood that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
We kept talking about how Ann Lee said, work each day as if it was your last day on earth and as if you had 1,000 years to live. And these ideas around just striving for perfection, always striving for perfection. Obviously, we didn't become Shakers. We are not celibates.
But I think also, this experience is not taken for granted either, because I would hope that I can come back to a film set and have some kind of feeling of this kind of utopia that we had, because in a lot of ways it was the best version of a film set. You were very different than Ann Lee, but you led with the same type of intention, and that's why I think we all just wanted to be there and be the best artists we could be in order to help you make this.
Be baptized again. I will not stand alone.
Mona Fastvold knows the history of cinema, and she knows the history of the musical. And to contort that into something that involves the shaker movement, that's something that only Mona was going to be able to come up with.
It's like this whole piece is such an expression of like their connection and their love and their warmth for one another.
I think what's incredible about Anne's story and why I'm so happy that Mona chose to tell her story is because with each moment of adversity that Anne faces, she responded with love. She responded with strength.
We have made tremendous sacrifices to receive the greatest love that one can experience.
There is space to tell stories about the many, many women who have had a hand in shaping history. We need to tell these stories, period.
She created a small corner of the world where people could live in peace and harmony and create art. And they could live free of these societal norms that they felt bound by. There's something really beautiful in that, and there is something hopeful in that. And I really, really felt like Anne Lee deserved to have her story told.
This is the vision I shall carry in my heart for the rest of my days.